Every single morning, millions of people over 55 wake up with that thick feeling in the throat, the constant need to clear it. And most of them are making at least 3 mistakes every day that make it worse without realizing they're feeding the problem. The last trap I reveal in this video is the hidden culprit behind most chronic throat phlegm, and it's not coming from your lungs. In the next few minutes, you will discover the 5 most common phlegm traps seniors unknowingly fall into every single day. Research tracking airway clearance in older adults found mucus moves at roughly half the speed compared to younger people, and that is why small daily choices matter more now than they used to. So write in the comments which part of the world you are watching from. That constant tickle in your throat, the wet cough that never quite clears, the need to keep a tissue nearby wherever you go. Studies following thousands of older adults found that persistent mucus and throat clearing affect the majority of people over 60. It is like a drain that used to clear on its own, but now moves slower, and the good news is, your body responds faster than you. Think when you stop the habits that thicken secretions and start the ones that help them move, and the change can begin today. Why do some people our age never seem to deal with this thick phlegm while others clear their throat 20 times a day? What mistake are millions of older adults making every morning without realizing it makes mucus stickier and harder to bring up? Here is what happens inside your airways as the years go by, and understanding this will make everything else in this video make sense. Your windpipe and breathing passages are lined with millions of tiny hair-like structures called cilia that sweep mucus upward and out. Think of them as little brooms working all day and night, but research measuring their movement found they beat more slowly with age. At the same time, coughs become less forceful, so mucus that used to clear on its own now sits longer in the airways and throat. That is not a disease, it is normal physiology, but it means the everyday habits you never had to think about before now matter. Most people believe the solution is to dry everything up or suppress the cough, but science showed that is only part of the story. Now I am going to walk you through the 5 most common traps that keep mucus thick, sticky, and stuck in your throat and chest. One of the questions I just asked will be answered when we reach trap number 3, which overturns a belief almost everyone holds. And at the very end, I will give you one simple rule to remember all of this, but the last trap is the most important of all, because it explains why so many people treat the lungs when the real problem is coming from somewhere completely different. So stay with me. Trap number 1, not drinking enough water. And this is the most basic mistake, but also the most common one people our age make. When your body does not get steady fluids through the day, all your secretions thicken, and that includes the mucus in your airways. Thick mucus is sticky mucus, and sticky mucus clings to the throat and chest instead of sliding up and out the way it should. A large review published by respiratory specialists confirmed that even mild dehydration changes the consistency of airway secretions noticeably within hours. Think of mucus like honey. When honey is cold, it barely moves, but warm it gently and it flows, and water does that inside. Many older adults drink less because they feel less thirsty, or they avoid fluids to reduce bathroom trips, especially in the evening. But cutting back on water to avoid one inconvenience creates a bigger one, because your body will produce mucus no matter what happens. The only question is whether that mucus is thin enough to clear easily or thick enough to get stuck and trigger constant throat clearing. The fix is simpler than most people think. Sip water steadily through the day, aiming for at least 6 to 8 glasses if your doctor has not told you otherwise, and warm liquids like herbal tea or warm water with a little honey work even better for thinning secretions. Keep a water bottle or a cup within reach wherever you spend most of your time, and take small sips every 20 or 30 minutes. If plain water feels boring, add a slice of lemon or a splash of juice, but avoid sugary sodas and limit caffeine, since both can have a mild drying effect over the course of the day, and you want your body to stay gently hydrated from morning to evening. This is not about forcing yourself to chug large amounts all at once. It is about keeping a steady, gentle flow of fluids coming in. You should notice within 2 or 3 days that mucus feels less thick and throat clearing happens less often, which is a sign your airways are getting the moisture they need to move secretions the way they are supposed to. And that brings us to the next trap. If drinking water alone were enough, you would not still be dealing with this. So what else are people doing that accidentally works against them? Trap number 2 has to do with the medicine cabinet, and it catches almost everyone because the products seem like the obvious solution. Stay with me, because what I am about to explain will save you money and frustration, and it is something your doctor may not have told you yet. So let us talk about the over-the-counter fixes that actually make phlegm worse instead of better, which surprises most people. Trap number 2, reaching for the wrong over-the-counter medicine. And this is where good intentions backfire in a way most people never realize. When you have a wet cough and thick mucus, the natural instinct is to walk into a pharmacy and grab something that promises relief quickly. The problem is that many cold and allergy medicines contain antihistamines or certain decongestants that dry out all your secretions, including the mucus you are trying to clear. And when mucus dries out, it gets thicker and stickier, which is the exact opposite of what you need right now. A major clinical review on managing airway secretions in older adults found that drying agents often worsen mucus clearance instead of helping it move. Then there are cough suppressants, the ones that say they stop your cough. And those can be helpful if you have a dry hacking cough. That keeps you awake at night, but if your cough is wet, meaning it brings up mucus, suppressing it traps the secretions your body is actively trying to clear, so you end up with more mucus sitting in your chest and throat instead of less, which defeats the whole purpose. Think of it this way. Your cough is like a broom sweeping the floor and taking a suppressant when the floor is still dirty just leaves the dirt sitting there, and that dirt in your case is mucus that needs to come out so your airways can stay clear and healthy. So what should you reach for instead? If mucus is thick and hard to bring up, look for an expectorant, which is a type of medicine that helps thin secretions and make them easier to cough up, and the most common one is called guaifenesin, which you will find in many products labeled as chest congestion relief, but always read the label carefully because some products mix expectorants with suppressants or drying antihistamines, and that combination cancels out the benefit you are looking for, so you want a product that contains only the expectorant if possible, nothing extra. Even better, ask the pharmacist which product is best for thinning mucus without drying you out, because they see this mistake all the time. And remember, warm steam from a bowl of hot water or a warm shower does the same job naturally without any medicine at all. Breathing in warm, moist air loosens mucus, soothes irritated airways, and makes it easier to cough things up and clear your throat effectively. Saline nasal rinses, the kind you do with a squeeze bottle or neti pot, also help flush out thick mucus from the back of your nose and throat, which is often where the problem starts before it drips down and makes you cough, so those are worth trying too. But here is the thing. Even if you avoid drying medicines and drink plenty of water, there is still one myth that leads people to cut out an entire food group for no reason, and that is trap number 3, which is going to surprise a lot of you. Trap number 3, blaming dairy and cutting out milk because you think it makes mucus, and this is one of the most stubborn health myths that refuses to die no matter how many times science proves it wrong. So let me set the record straight right now once and for all. Multiple controlled studies, including a large review that analyzed decades of research, found absolutely no evidence that drinking milk or eating dairy increases mucus production. What actually happens is this. Milk is thick and creamy, and when you drink it, a thin coating of milk mixed with saliva briefly covers your mouth and throat, which feels like extra mucus, but it is not. It is just a harmless temporary sensation that fades within minutes. Researchers even tested this by having people drink milk and then measuring their actual mucus output, and there was no increase at all compared to people who drank other liquids. So the thick feeling is real, but the extra mucus is not, and that is a crucial difference to understand. Think of it like this. If you eat a spoonful of peanut butter, your mouth feels coated for a minute, but that does not mean your body is making more saliva or mucus. It just means something thick passed through, and milk works exactly the same way. This matters because dairy products, especially yogurt and milk, provide high-quality protein, calcium for bone strength, and other nutrients that older adults genuinely need. Cutting them out based on a myth means you lose those benefits for no good reason, and you still have the same mucus problem. Because dairy was never the cause in the first place. So if milk does not bother your digestion, there is no reason to avoid it. Now, while we are on the subject of myths, here is a second one that goes hand in hand. The idea that yellow or green mucus always means you have a bacterial infection and need antibiotics. But that is not true either, and doctors see this misunderstanding every single day. Mucus changes color because of natural immune cells and enzymes, and it can turn yellow or green during a common cold, which is viral and does not respond to antibiotics at all. So color alone does not tell you whether bacteria are involved, and taking antibiotics when you do not need them just adds side effects without helping. So always check with your doctor before assuming you need a prescription based only on color. The real question is not what color your mucus is, but whether you have other worrying symptoms like fever, trouble breathing, or chest pain. And speaking of things that seem helpful but actually make the problem worse, the next trap is a habit you probably do without even thinking about it. And it creates a vicious cycle that keeps your throat irritated and mucus flowing all day long. So pay close attention now. Trap number 4, the throat clearing habit. And this one sneaks up on people because it feels productive, like you are fixing the problem. Every time you do that little ahem sound, but in reality you are making things worse with each repetition, and here is exactly why. When you clear your throat forcefully, you are slamming your vocal cords together and scraping the delicate tissue that lines your throat and voice box. That tissue gets irritated and slightly inflamed from the repeated trauma. And when tissue is irritated, your body produces more mucus to protect it. So more mucus appears, which makes you want to clear your throat again, which irritates the tissue more, which produces even more mucus. And before you know it, you are stuck in a self-feeding loop that you built one throat clear at a time without realizing it was happening. Voice specialists and ear, nose, throat doctors call this the throat clearing cycle, and they see it constantly in older adults who complain of chronic phlegm. Think of your throat like a carpet. If you scrub the same spot over and over with a rough brush, the fibers get damaged and worn down, and your throat tissue works the same way. It needs gentleness, not force, especially when it is already producing extra mucus. So what should you do instead when you feel that tickle and the urge to clear? Try swallowing hard a few times, or take a small sip of water, or do a gentle hum, because all of those move mucus without the harsh impact of throat clearing. Another trick that works surprisingly well is to breathe in slowly through your nose and then out through your mouth in a controlled way, which helps shift mucus without irritation. And if you absolutely must cough, make it a gentle, productive cough rather than a harsh, repetitive hack. It takes a few days to break the throat clearing habit because your brain has learned to do it automatically, almost like a reflex U. Do not control anymore, but once you stop, the irritation calms down, mucus production drops, and the cycle finally breaks, which feels like relief. You will be amazed at how much less phlegm you have when you simply stop scraping your throat 20 times a day. And that. The improvement happens faster than most people expect, usually within a week. But now we come to the most important part of this entire video. Everything I have explained so far assumes the mucus is actually coming from your lungs and airways. But what if it is not? What if the real source is somewhere else entirely, and you have been treating the wrong problem this whole time, which would explain why? Nothing seems to work no matter what you try, and that is exactly what trap number 5 is about, so do not skip ahead. Trap number 5, the hidden culprit. Mistaking silent reflux for a lung problem, and this is the one that changes everything for most people. Much of the chronic phlegm, throat clearing, and wet cough that older adults deal with is not coming from the lungs or sinuses all it is coming from the stomach, and the condition is called laryngopharyngeal reflux, which is a complicated name for a simple problem that happens when stomach acid and digestive contents rise up into your throat and voice box, irritating the tissue and triggering mucus production as a protective response. The reason so many people miss this is that it does not feel like typical heartburn. There is no burning in your chest, no sour taste, no obvious sign that your stomach is involved, which is why doctors call it silent reflux, because it happens without the classic symptoms. Specialists in throat disorders estimate that this type of reflux is behind a very large share of chronic hoarseness, throat clearing, and persistent cough. In older adults, making it one of the most underdiagnosed causes of what people assume is a respiratory problem when it is actually digestive instead. So how do you know if this is what is happening to you? The clues are subtle but consistent. Mucus and throat clearing are worse in the morning after lying flat all night because gravity stops working and stomach contents flow upward more easily when you are horizontal. You might feel a lump in your throat that never quite goes away, or your voice sounds hoarse and raspy even though you have not been yelling or singing, and you might have a nagging cough that gets worse after meals or when you bend over forward. None of those symptoms scream stomach problem, which is exactly why people treat the throat and lungs for months without improvement, because they are aiming at the wrong target the entire time, and the real issue is a few inches lower, where the stomach connects to the food pipe. Think of it this way. Your stomach is like a pot on the stove, and when the lid does not seal properly, steam escapes and fogs up the windows nearby. And in your case, the steam is stomach acid, and the windows are your throat and voice box. So no amount of cough syrup or throat lozenges will fix a pot that is boiling over. You have to turn down the heat and seal the lid, which means making changes that reduce reflux at the source instead of just treating the symptoms it creates higher up. The good news is that simple adjustments work remarkably well for most people, and you do not necessarily need medication to see real improvement. Now pay very close attention, because everything you have heard up until now about mucus may have been incomplete or even flat out wrong. The first myth is the dairy belief we already covered. Millions of people avoid milk thinking it creates phlegm, but controlled studies going back decades found no evidence that dairy increases mucus production. The thick feeling is just a coating of milk and saliva, not actual extra phlegm. And the second myth is that yellow or green mucus always means bacterial infection, but mucus changes color from natural immune activity during any kind of irritation, including a simple viral cold, so color alone does not tell you whether you need antibiotics, and assuming it does leads people to take medicine they do not need, which does nothing except add side effects. So always check with your doctor first before. You assume infection based only on color, and now you understand the real truth that science has confirmed, but most people still do not know. So here is exactly what to do starting today, and I want you to think of this as your daily mucus clearing checklist. Simple. Steps that work with your body instead of against it, and they are easier than you think once you know the right order. First, hydration. Sip water steadily through the day, aiming for 6 to 8 glasses unless your doctor said otherwise, and add warm herbal tea or warm water with honey, because warm liquids thin mucus faster than cold ones, and keep a cup within reach all day long. Second, steam and moisture. Breathe in warm, moist air from a bowl of hot water with a towel over your head, or just stand in a warm shower and breathe deeply for 5 minutes, and consider a saline nasal rinse once or twice a day to flush out thick mucus from the back of your nose and throat, which stops the drip before it even starts, and all of this is free and natural, no prescriptions needed, just water and warmth doing what your body needs most. And third, the anti-reflux habits. Eat smaller meals in the evening instead of one large dinner, avoid lying down for at least 2 or 3 hours after eating, and raise the head of your bed by 4 to 6 inches using blocks or a wedge pillow, because gravity helps keep stomach contents where they belong. Overnight instead of letting them flow upward into your throat while you sleep, and if symptoms persist after 2 weeks of these changes, talk to your doctor, because you may benefit from a short course of acid-reducing medication to calm things down faster. And now here is the one simple rule I promised earlier that ties everything together. Thin mucus clears, thick mucus clings, so everything you do should help thin it and keep it moving. And that means steady hydration, warm moist air, gentle coughing instead of throat clearing, and controlling reflux if that is part of your picture. But before we finish, there is one more thing you absolutely need to know about when to stop managing this on your own and get medical help right away, because certain symptoms mean something more serious might be going on that needs a doctor. See a healthcare professional immediately if you cough up blood or pink frothy mucus, if you develop a fever that does not go away within a couple of days, if you have chest pain or sudden shortness of breath, if your symptoms get rapidly worse instead of better, or if you are losing weight without trying, because any of those signs could indicate infection, heart trouble, or another condition that needs proper diagnosis and treatment. And this is especially important if you have other health conditions like heart disease, diabetes, or lung problems, or if you take multiple medications, because interactions and complications happen more easily. So always keep your doctor in the loop and do not hesitate to call if something feels wrong, because it is always better to check and be reassured than to wait and let something serious get worse. Thank you so much for staying with me all the way through. It really means a lot. So if this helped you understand what has been going on in your throat and chest, do me a favor and hit that like button and tell me in the comments which trap you recognized in yourself. Was it the dairy myth, the throat clearing habit, or the reflux surprise? Because I read every single comment. And I love hearing your stories. And please share this video with friends or family members who deal with the same constant phlegm and throat clearing, because chances are they are falling into at least one of these traps without realizing it, and you might just save them months of frustration by sending this their way. And in the next video, I'm going to show you the one morning mistake that undoes all the progress you just made, something almost everyone does within an hour of waking up. So make sure you watch that next, because it is a game changer. There are 2 videos on the screen right now. Pick one and keep going, and I will see you in the next one. Take care of yourself and breathe easy. You deserve to feel comfortable in your own body every single day. You in the next one. Take care of yourself and breathe easy. You deserve to feel comfortable in your own body every single day.